लोग कहते हैं कि सामने वाले के पता चलता है कि वो क्या सोच रहा है, what the person is thinking, what the person is say, might be inside the mind, क्या सोच रहे हैं, क्या कह रहे हैं, क्या कहने वाले हैं, कैसा रिएक्शन होगा उसका। लोग कहते हैं इस बात को। They always think that they can understand, they can read somebody's mind. But I don't think so. Because for me, you see, it's an experience. Your mind, it comes from the thoughts which comes from your gene, your karma, your past life, so many life. Then all this life had all your action and reaction, and you are born with that. How can you read my mind? And how can I read your mind? I don't think it's possible. You are born, we are all born in a different atmosphere, different place, different gene, different experience, different past life. All this matters a lot. How can you? Yes, you can do sometime when you yourself or I myself, I don't know what I'm going to think the next second. And we are constantly thinking. We are constantly thinking, even in our sleep, even when we are awake, we are constantly thinking. It's a total process. What about the past life? I believe in past life. And the experience? And all this, our forefathers and our genes and whatnot, and what they used to think, and how they used to react, and what is their action and the reaction. We are all carrying that. You'll have to be aware of that. The moment you are aware, you know that whatever you are thinking, it is not you. It is somebody else. To make yourself in present at this moment, this second, you'll have to do lot of meditation. Awareness. Then the awareness comes. And you know, this is not it. This is not it. It's a terrible mystery. It's a total mystery. And the more you are aware, the more you are in present, you come to know that yes, these are all, it's a borrowed, not me. Me is nothing but experience, nothing but past. What about present? What about now?
Thank you, Chandra. From the outside, be with the world. From your inside, be with your God. And that God we are talking about need not be just there, it is within you. Aham Brahmasi. I have made you in my own image. Be thou yourself. Be with yourself. And no matter what happens, let your center always remain calm, undisturbed. This is the essence of life. We very loosely use this word center. Let it remain calm and undisturbed. But what is this center? Where is this center? Question yourself. All mankind is asleep. It is using this term, be centered, and nobody knows where the center is. मानव जाति के विकास के 3 केंद्र हैं. आपका मस्तिष्क, आपका हृदय और आपकी नाभि. और मैं ये क्यों कह रहा हूं? बहुत सरल सी बात है और ये हर मनुष्य को, हर जीवित जागृत चीज को एप्लीकेबल है. जब बच्चा पैदा होता है, मां की कोख में रहता है 9 महीने के लिए, एंड व्हेन इट कम्स आउट, when it is inside and when it comes out, its growth, its entire potential is there in that nabhi. That is your center. And then as a child, when you are born, that nabhi is cut off. And you are here in this world, you are an innocent soul. Your mind is a no mind state. A child's mind, when he or she is born, is in a no mind state. It is we parents, we elders, society, friends, relatives who pump in our thoughts into the child as he is growing up and convert the no mind into a mind. And that mind which you have converted from a no mind to a mind is not his mind or her mind. It is a juxtaposition, a kachra, a khichdi of everybody's thoughts. When this child grows up, is in the process of growing up, the first thing what the child does is he feeds on his mother's milk in her breast. That after the nabhi, this is the next connect for your growth, your heart, your mother's heart, and linked with it therefore others' heart. But what has happened? Society has forgotten this absolutely irreplaceable need of breastfeeding children. And in the name of advancement, in the name of modernity, we deny to the child the mother's milk. That mother's milk is not only milk, it is love pouring out of the heart which you are denying to the child. So before he is grown up, by the time he is 3, 4, 5 years, you have cut off his growth from his nabi, which is the center of growth. That's the first thing which affects. And then you have committed a second crime of denying him that breast touch. So he does not grow in love. He does not find love. He does not know what is love. And he becomes dependent for his growth on something else. And what is that something else? Your brain, your intellect. So society makes him dependent for his growth on this one thing only, that is the brain. Whereas he should have grown from the nabhi. He should have grown from the heart. Now the entire load of his growth comes on this brain, this small little thing between your skulls. Imagine the pressure of one thing taking on the load of 3. As a result of which, what happens? Although you may gain knowledge, you may gain information, the pressures on your growth are so enormous that in today's mankind, especially in the West, 3 out of 4 people are psychiatric patients. In the East, in India, till about 15 years ago, there were hardly 1 or 2 psychiatric patients out of 10 because breastfeeding was still there. Today, in the garb of modernity, approximately 5 to 6 people out of 10 are cases of psychiatry. They may not go to a psychiatrist for treatment, that is another thing. Which is why people, when they grow up in years, they have grown up here, but they are still clinging for that love which they lost out on childhood, and they try and behave young. Their playfulness is a cover-up of the childhood lost, of the nabhi growth lost, of the breastfeeding which has been lost. So today, when you go back to your homes, to your societies, tell your colleagues, tell your friends, tell the women folk that breastfeeding is the best thing for humanity's growth. Humanity's, mankind's survival depends on it. You will hardly find any psychiatric case amongst the tribals where breastfeeding is allowed to be continued till the child wants it. Why do you think when in cities and towns people grow up into adolescents in their 20s, 30s, 40s, why are they attracted and brushing aside breasts of children? Because they have lost out on that beautiful experience of receiving the love of their mother. The mind is nothing else but a bundle of flowing thoughts. As per science, approximately 60 to 80,000 thoughts flow across a man's mind in a day, which if you work out per hour, it means approximately 2,500 to 3,000 thoughts which are flowing in your mind every hour. And we think mind kitna active hai, kitna acha hai, kitna intelligent hai, that's why thoughts are flowing in. No, it is against the basic teaching of living in the now, because all your thoughts are either of the past or of the future. Nothing is of the present. माइंड का नेचर ही यही है, टू फ्लो, And to be the now, to live in the now, is against its basic nature. So if you want the mind to be living in now, if you want to live in the now, the mind rebels. Very few people understand it. They say, live in the now, I am in the now. The now is this, even smaller than this. It has gone. The moment you have thought of being there in that now, it is gone. It's gone to the next now. It has gone to the future. So you have to train your mind with meditation, as Chandraji said, to be in that now. And your whole life is nothing else but a series of nows. Living in that now, not allowing the now to go forward, not going forward with it, not allowing it to go backward, not going backward with it. Which comes through meditation, which we will talk about after about 10 minutes. This is achieved through sadhana. This is achieved through sannyas. This is achieved through practice. Just this morning, I received a very interesting mail in a courier from some gentleman in South India. It says, Mr. Nagi, in all your talks, you have always said that in today's time, there has been no man of awareness, no sannyasi after who? Ramana Maharishi. I have said it. There is no man of awareness, there is no sannyasi born or living after Maharishi Ramana. He said, why do you say that? Because even in today's time, there are people who are known as gurus, spiritual gurus, masters, spiritual leaders. According to him, they are men of awareness. They are sannyasis. I must tell him, and I must tell all of you, and I must tell everybody is hearing this YouTube, this talk. Who is a sannyasi? Who is a man of God? A man of God and a sannyasi is a person who lives dangerously, who lives in the now, who is not bothered about his tomorrow, who does not have anger, greed, ego, wealth, amassing fortunes. If they were born in palaces, they have left palaces and gone away to hills, mountains, villages. They have left their homes, not because those homes or palaces were the hindrance. They wanted to live a dangerous life, living in the now, not knowing if there is a shelter, not knowing where the food will come from, not knowing if they have medicine tomorrow, if there is sickness, not knowing what will happen. Avalanche may come, the flood may come and take them away. These are the people who are men of awareness, who are men of God, who are sannyasis. The Buddha did that. The Mahavira did that. Zoroaster did that. Christ did that. They did not make palaces called ashrams and things. They lived a life of danger, saying what their heart said, saying something new, saying something original. They had things to help mankind evolve. And I tell that gentleman who wrote me that letter, today's people whom you called gurus, whom you called spiritual masters, whom you called teachers, are just repeating what is there and has been said earlier. They are good orators. They are good businessmen in their white, green, yellow, orange, red robes. They live in comfort. They preach well. Do they practice is a question. Ask yourself and ask them. Then that gentleman tells me, but they have a large following in lakhs and crores. To have a following does not mean that he is a master. I am talking master in the evolved sense. हम सब अंधों की तरह कानों के पीछे चल रहे हैं. And a man who has a mind of no mind will be an individual. He will be different. He will not follow the trodden path. He will take the unexplored path. He will take his original path. We have talked in the past about mind. We have talked about going from the unconscious to the conscious. We have talked about mindful awareness. These were school level talks. These were college level talks. It's all right at the fundamental level to understand from the conscious to the unconscious, to reach a state of mindful awareness. Very fundamental. We must grow up. It was good for a start. It was good until then. Very few people talk about this state of mind to no mind. And why do they talk? Or why do they not talk about it? Is because they have not achieved it. It's very difficult to achieve it. It's very difficult to understand it. It's even more difficult to talk about it. People who have achieved a state of no mind, you can count in the fingers of your hand. A Buddha, a Mahavira, Christ, a Muhammad, a Saraswati, a Ramana, nobody else. Nobody else. And believe you me, to understand the no mind, you have to experience it. And you can experience it, or somebody can make you experience it only if he has achieved at least partially that state, if not fully. Then only he can dare to talk about it. There is a story about a very rich empire, a very rich emperor, and in his kingdom there were some beggars, some fakirs, some renunciates. One morning the emperor decided, let me go out and do some charity. Let me distribute my goods, blankets, this, that amongst the poor. Let me give some diamonds, rubies, I have too many of them. So while he was doing that, he came across a fakir, a beggar. And the emperor said, I want to give you some diamonds, some rubies. Here, take it. The fakir said, hold on. Are you sure what you are saying? Because I can accept what you can give me only if you fill up this begging bowl of mine with what you are giving. The emperor was very rich. He said, ye choti si katori hai, it is a small bowl. I have so much wealth. And out of arrogance he told that beggar, what do you know of me? I am an emperor. I can fill not only this bowl, but 1,000+ bowls like this with my rubies, diamonds, and gems. The fakir said, think again. If you are ready to fill it up, I will accept it. The emperor looked at his wazir and he said, fill up his bowl with the most precious of diamonds, rubies, and gems, and gold coins, and whatever is there. The vizier started filling up. No time, when the thing was reaching up near to be filled, it was again suddenly become empty. They did it another time. Again near the top, it suddenly became empty and vanished. The emperor told his wazir, no matter what happens, you go to my khajana, my vault, have everything transported here. This is a tussle between the emperor and this beggar. How can he win? The wazir got sacks and sacks of rupees and he started filling it up. And every time he would do it, it empty and drain out. By nightfall, the khazana was empty. The emperor was perspiring. He folded his hands unto the fakir and he said, I am sorry. I have become a beggar now. I have nothing more to give. Tell me the secret of this. The fakir smiled and he said, this bowl is a human ego. जितना डालो कभी भरता नहीं है, कभी संतुष्ट नहीं होता. You and me are the story which has just been narrated. You fill your life with your makan, dukan, ghar, badi, bangla, jewelry, everything, and it is never there enough for you. You are always empty. Your ego, get rid of it. And when you have a no mind, there will be no ego. Ego resides in the mind. It cannot reside in a state of no mind. आप वैक्यूम में जी सकते हो? नहीं. वो साइंस कहती है there is no vacuum, something comes to fill it up. इस माइंड की नो माइंड में कुछ नहीं जी सकता. वही आपका निर्वाण है, वही आपका मोक्ष है. दैट इज योर डिस्कवरी ऑफ लाइफ. दैट इज योर यूरेका ऑफ लाइफ. ईगो को छोड़िए. इट इज अ प्री रिक्विजिट एंड अ रिजल्ट ऑफ द नो माइंड. In Tibet, there is a famous monk, very learned monk. His name is Maripela. He is one of the awakened men, counted few. A seeker went to him and he said, tell me the meaning of life. Maripela said, please go away. I do not know the meaning of life. A great man, a learned man will tell you, I know nothing. He will try and shoo you away. He will not stand on a dais and gather millions on his membership roll. He will try to shoo away people. And if a seeker is genuine, he will come back to that master again and again seeking. So this seeker did not give up. He kept going to Maripala. Ultimately, Maripala said, okay, I will give it to you. He said, take out your paper, take out your pen, pencil, write down these 5 things, and these are the secrets of life. The seeker was very happy. He's learnt the secret of life, the mystery of life, and he will forever be happy now. He would have achieved that direct connect with his inner self and God, what he was searching for. Who am I? Folded his paper where he had written the secret, and he started walking back to get down the steps. Maripala told him, Shrenik, his name was Shrenik, hold on, but I must tell you one thing. When you recite these 5 mantras 100 times each, make sure that you do not think of a monkey. Shrenik said, no problems, I have never in my life thought about monkeys. I will never think about it. The seeker went back to his abode, and lo and behold, at the dawn of next day, he said, let me start reciting this mantra. But before he would start, monkey, 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 the thought of monkey kept coming to him. He went mad in 3 months and he could not recite any mantra. So he went back to Maripala and he told him, why did you tell me this now? Why couldn't you tell me later, after I had recited that mantra, that never think of a monkey? Maripala said, this is your mind. It is in continuous flow. If you want to be enlightened, if you want to know the secret of life, if you want to know the secret of happiness, first come in a state of no mind. Monkeys will not happen there, no matter who says what. So learn this in life. Your mind is continuously flowing. It's a bundle of thoughts flowing, which is why Heraclitus, one of the greatest philosophers of the Grecian times, said, you can never cross a river twice. You can never cross the same river twice. Why? Because once you have stepped into the river, that water has flown away. And when you are entering the next time, the place may be the same, appearing to you the same, it is not the same. The water is different, the soil is different, the khushbu is different, the abo hava is different, the sensations are different, different shoal of fish are crossing that time, और कहीं के पत्ते और कभी की झाड़ियां तब गुजर रही हैं जो पहली बार से अलग हैं. So when you say, I have visited Goa twice, you have not gone on a holiday twice to the same place ever. ये आपके मन का भ्रम है, और इस भ्रम को दूर करना ही achieving of no mind कहते हैं. This comes through meditation. And what meditation? We will talk about it. I bring you to India. It happened in the city of Varanasi. How many of you know about Varanasi? Yeah, good, thank you. एक फकीर रहता था वहाँ पे, गांव के एक कोने में था, अपना ध्यान करता रहता था दिन रात, ध्यान में मगन. इनकी बात ही अलग होती है, दुनिया ही अलग होती है. They live a dangerous life, not bothered about tomorrow. किसी ने आके कुछ भिक्षा दे दी तो खा लिया, नहीं दी तो कोई और लाके उनको कुछ दे देता, उस पे ही जीते रहते हैं. They are centered with their maker, with themselves. उसी गांव की कहानी है. एक औरत अचानक पेट से भर आई. She got pregnant. And when her parents discovered this, her father, mother, relatives rebuked her a lot कि बताइए किसका बच्चा है. This is the mentality. The girl did not know what to say. She says, ये उस सन्यासी का बच्चा है. So the parents gathered the other villagers. They went and surrounded the house of this sannyasi. And they angrily were abusing him. The sannyasi was all calm. He said, क्या हो गया? He said, you are asking us क्या हो गया? You are the father of this child. Look at this child, young child, 10 days in the arm of this girl. You are the father and you are saying, क्या हो गया है? He said, is it so? Am I the father? Is it so? He said, हाँ. Then he said, हाँ, मैं स्वीकार करता हूँ ये बच्चा मेरा है. The child was handed over to the sannyasi. The girl left, the villagers left, satisfied that they have found somebody to blame for what has happened. आप याद रखिएगा, सोसाइटी का ये नियम है, ये नियम बंद है. जो आज आपकी प्रशंसा करते हैं, जो आज आपको स्टेज पे चढ़ाते हैं, जो आपको कंधों पे लेके जय जयकार करके फिरते हैं, हिडन विद इन देयर माइंड्स इज, कब इसको नीचे गिराऊं. They may not show it at that time, but that is what is hidden in their mind. इन्होंने उस सन्यासी की जो जय जयकार करते थे, जिसका कीर्तन सुनने आते थे, जिसके मनों की बातें सुनने को आते थे, boycotted him, burnt his hut. सन्यासी retained his calm. 2 दिन तो आसपास जो कुछ था, गाय बकरी के दूध लेके उसने उस बच्चे को पिलाया. जब गांव वालों को पता लगा, उन लोगों ने वो बकरियां भी छीन ली उस इलाके से. सो ही हैड नथिंग टू फीड द चाइल्ड ऑन. पहले जब वो अकेला था, भिक्षा उसके पास जो दे जाता था वो खा लेता था. लेकिन इस दिन उसने बच्चे को अपने हाथों में लिया एंड ही वेंट फ्रॉम होम टू होम बेगिंग कि मेरे लिए नहीं, इस बच्चे के लिए तो कुछ दो. No villager gave him anything, even on the name of child. भूखा है. How can a sannyasi do it? How can he father a child? This is society. Finally, the sannyasi reached the house of the girl. और उसने हाथ जोड़ के कहा कि मेरे लिए न सही, सबने नहीं दिया, मुझे उसकी कोई परवाह नहीं है, इस बच्चे के लिए तो थोड़ा दूध दे दो. इस सन्यासी की तड़प, इस सन्यासी की भीख की आवाज, इस प्यार की आवाज से वो औरत के आंखों में आंसू आ गए. उसने अपने माँ बाप से कहा और गांव वालों से कहा, ये बच्चा इनका नहीं है, ये बच्चा मेरे प्रेमी का है जो दूसरे गांव से है. Not knowing how to handle this, I had found it very easy to blame the sannyasi. So I blamed him. बड़े आदमी की खूबी ये होती है कि वो ब्लेम ले लेता है. तो गांव वालों ने उस सन्यासी से पूछा, बेवकूफ, अगर ये तुम्हारा बच्चा नहीं था तो तुमने स्वीकार क्यों किया हमारे सामने कि ये तुम्हारा बच्चा है, दिस इज योर चाइल्ड. ही सेड, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? यू वांटेड टू ब्लेम समबडी. कल तक तुम मुझे कंधों पे उठा के मेरी जय जयकार करते थे, आज तुमने मुझे गालियां दी थी. मैंने उस कंधे को भी स्वीकार किया, इस गालियों को भी स्वीकार किया. अगर मैं ना करता तो तुम और किसी को गाली देता. ये तुम्हारा नेचर है, तुम्हारे माइंड का नेचर है. हिडन विद इन यू इज एंगर. ना तब मुझे फर्क पड़ता था, ना अब मुझे फर्क पड़ता था. आई हैव नॉट ओनली रीच्ड अ स्टेट ऑफ नो माइंड, I have transcended both. I have transcended both. And I am in a state of what is called Tatha Ast. So be it. Hidden within every man is hatred, is jealousy, is anger. When you are not angry, when you are not hating anybody, it is not that you are loving, it is just that spark which has not been ignited as yet. The moment that spark is ignited, mankind reveal itself, which is why since the incept of civilization and birth of mankind, there has not been a single day when there has been no bloodshed. There has not been a single day when there has been no war. It was beautifully said by Mahatma Gandhi that we have had 2 world wars and we are calling this time as a time of peace. It is not a time of peace. You are preparing for the next war. Which is why the arms industry is the greatest industry in the world. Supply of weapons and arms. Mankind is not spending money on love, on care. Health care is down the ladder. In most countries, not there. Countries where there is no health care, no hospitals, no medicine, no doctors, even they spend fortunes on amassing weapons. That is mankind. And it happens because, forget about reaching a state of no mind. They haven't gone even from the unconscious to the conscious. They haven't gone into a state of awareness. They are still in their animal form. I say unto you, mankind does not need love as much as it needs friendship. Because behind love, hatred is there somewhere hidden. We talk of love, we talk of peace, but there is hatred. Let us cultivate friendship. That is why you may love one or two, but friends you have many. Genuine friends, if you cultivate genuine friends. The Buddha, realizing this in his enlightenment, stressed upon Maitreyi. Maitreyi is friendship, the Maitreyi Buddha. And that friendship Buddha, that friendship state of yours, from it will flow love. From it will flow compassion. From it will flow kindness, forgiveness, understanding. Forget mankind. Even the gods have this thing called ego. आप हम तो इंसान हैं. Even the gods whom we call the Devati, Devatas have not learnt their lesson. It appears that in the bygone eras, once Brahma and Vishnu were sitting, chatting together. And while they were talking with each other, Brahma said, I am greater than you, Vishnu, because I have created this entire thing. Look at this beauty which lies ahead. Vishnu said, no, you may have created it. I am preserving it. अगर मैं preserve ना करता तो you would not have been there, your creation would have been spoiled. So I am greater than you. Clash of the titans, clash of egos. They continued arguing with each other. What was a talk, what was a debate turned into an argument. Tempers flared, voices were raised. And that supreme God above there, known as Shiva, who was watching this drama, हम लोग कहते हैं ना ये लीला है, ईश्वर की लीला है. He said it is time to intervene. And he appeared between the two as an effervescent, a blooming, lightning bright linga. And this linga kept getting brighter. It kept getting larger, kept going higher, kept going deeper in front of their eyes. This was very amazing to Brahma. This was amazing to Vishnu. And they said, how can he be here? Who is this? Let us find it out. So one said, I will take the root of a boar. And one said, I will take up the shape of a bird. I will fly high above and watch from there above this linga as to till what height this is. And the boar said, I will go deeper into the earth and find out the depth of this object which has come between us. They kept doing it for time immemorial. Tired, they came back. The bird said, I could not find the height. The boar said, I could not find the depth. It is fathomless, and it is fathomless there at both ends. It is fathomless in the sides. What is this? That is the time Shiva appeared. He said, none of you are great. None of you are great. All of us are equals. All of us have a role to play. Without the one, the other is incomplete. And without the other, this one is complete. So in society, when an ignorant man tells you, I am this, I am your this, I have done this for you, tell him the story of this. You are not great, you are just ordinary. Even Brahma was not great, even Vishnu was not great. We are all equals performing our different roles on this earth. Just like your ghadi, it has 843 parts. The second hand cannot say I am important, and the wheel cannot say I am important and the hour hand is unimportant. No, everything is important. Without the one, the other is useless. What is the no mind? A mind not fixed or occupied by thought or emotion, thus open to everything, free of fear, anger and ego, where you have reached a stage of shunya, where your mind has dissolved. Not only does it cease to exist, it gets dissolved. The mind is there, but is in a state of no mind. The most beautiful thing which can help you reach a state of no mind is contained in a beautiful book called the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. It is a 5,000-year-old text written by the Trika school of Shivas in Kashmir, Kashmir Shaivism. This book contains 112 techniques of meditation to reach a state of no mind. The first 9 techniques are related to breath, and the other techniques follow. It is said that the 112 techniques which are contained, methods which are contained, are applicable to all humanity. There is one for you, 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 there is one for her. There is one for everybody who was born. There is one for everybody who is born, and it also contains methods for people yet to be born. One or the other is bound to be applicable to you to achieve that state of no mind, to achieve that state of bliss. It is there. You have to find it out for yourself with deep study. It is timeless. And the very word Vijnana Bhairav Tantra is very misleading for many people. When you think of Tantra, people think it is the Jadoo, Tona, black magic. No. Vigyan in very raw terms means science. In actual spiritual terms, it means consciousness. Bhairav means beyond the conscious. When you surpass consciousness. And Tantra is simple technique. So Vijnana Bhairav Tantra is the science. It is a spiritual science of going beyond the conscious. And the book contains techniques. And all techniques are scientific. It is not a discourse. It is not a debate. It is not philosophy. Talking about God, who is God, is philosophy. But how to reach God, the only thing that can get you there is Tantra. Rest all can discuss what is God, what is life, what is past life, what is future life, but how to reach there, how to. Philosophy is what is. Religion is what is. Tantra is how to. And since your mind, even science says, is subtle matter, so Tantra being a science, it will take care of your subtle matter. That matter will dissolve. It will not exist. You will be in a state of no mind, receptive to everything. The first 9 methods which are laid down are related to your breath. Now this breath, which we call pranayam, is very loosely used. We understand by breath when we do yoga. It is only applicable in yoga, in normal teaching. Say, breathe in, watch your breath, take and watch it going out and meditate. That is very rudimentary. What yoga teaches you, what all other schools are teaching you, is only for your health, for your vitality, sharir ke liye. It will not help you reach and transcend and find out your connect with God. Tantra tells you how to use breath to reach your supreme self. That's the difference between yoga, pranayam, and tantra breathing. Nobody else will tell you this. And the only person from 5,000 years before about whom having reached this state, the originator of this science, is Shiva. That is why he is known as Bhairava, the man who has transcended consciousness. And his consort, Parvati, is known as Bhairavi. She has transcended consciousness. The whole book is a beautiful story. If you summarize it, you can do it in one full page, but to apply it, it might take a lifetime. And it starts with Parvati asking Shiva 6 beautiful questions. Here is Shiva. Parvati is sitting on his lap. Why is she sitting on Shiva's lap? You will seldom find gods being depicted in this posture. Tantra relies on love as the basic from which you grow. It cannot come as a dialogue sitting across. The genesis is love. Love of Parvati for Shiva and Shiva's love for Parvati. That is why Parvati is shown as sitting on Shiva's lap. Shiva that time has lost his form. He has become the formless. Which is why these 6 questions by Parvati, who is married to him. O Shiva, what is your reality? An ordinary mind will think, you have seen TV serials and picture, Shiv आता है, शादी करता है पार्वती के साथ, they are husband wife, they go to their ठिकाना in Mount Kailasha. That is an ordinary mind. For you, it is so simple to understand and say that, but that woman, that Devi who is with him, is asking, what is your reality? आजकल के पंडित गुरु संत, they describe Shiva. Imagine his own wife to understand Shiva, asking, what is your reality? What is this wonderful universe? What constitutes seed? कहाँ से ये पृथ्वी आई, तुम आए, हम आए? Who centers the universe wheel? When we started, we said, let your center remain calm and disturbed. Just like you have a center, he has a center, the universe has a center. And Parvati is thinking in the larger context and asking, who centers the universal wheel? कौन है इसका रखवाला? कौन है इसका चालक? Which is why 2500 years after him, the Buddha, Gautama Buddha, said something about the Kala Chakra. If time allows, if opportunity is available, we'll talk about Kala Chakra and how it's related to the wheel which was described in the Kashmir book of Shaivism, in the Vijnana Bhairav Tantra. What is the relation? Buddha was one of the most learned tantrics in the world. He relied only on Tantra. All his teachings, all his methods are totally scientific and therefore tantric. What is life beyond form, pervading forms? You are form, he is form, she is form, I am form. What is this life beyond forms? How may we enter it fully above space and time? Name and descriptions. Just 6 questions. Let my doubts be cleared. She has an idea. She's saying, let my doubts be cleared. And the beauty about this book, about this 112 techniques, is that Shiva has not given an answer to a single question to Parvati. He has only told her how to. He said, do this and you will experience it. He has never given any answer. Same in today's time. No spiritual guru, no spiritual master, no learned teacher can ever give you any answer. You have to experience all the answers yourself. Otherwise, you will just be gathering what is said in some textbook, some spiritual book, and conveying to an audience and getting talis and getting jay. The answer is within you. You have to experience it. Nobody else can give you that answer. With these beautiful, interesting stories, I must tell you, in brief, when you go back, meditate on the 30-40 minutes that we have spoken. Experience life for yourself in a new dimension. Don't go for ghisa-pita answers which are available through books. Refer to the Vijnana Bhairav Tantra. And Vijnana Bhairav Tantra, as I told you, is not a Hindu book. It was discovered by Hindus of that time. It's a universal book, it's a science. Can Who invented the light bulb? I don't know what's it. Edison. Can a bulb be Christian? No. Who invented the telephone? Graham Bell. Can the telephone be a Christian telephone or a Hindu telephone? No. These are universal revelations. They are irreligious, not stamped with any religion. That is why Tantra is applicable to every religion, so-called religions of today, whether it's Hindu, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Mohammedanism, whether it's Islam, Zoroaster, it's applicable across all genres. Remember, there is only one religion. Hindu, Christian, Jews, Islam, Zoroaster, whatever you have, are just those side paths leading to the one universal religion, which is humanity, to connect you with God. These are side tracks, and we have called them ye pagdandi, wo pagdandi. That's not religion. Those are the paths leading to the main path, super express highway. Any religion is good if it teaches you friendship and love. Open your mind to scientific methods and you will reach your connect with God. We will talk about the methods in the next workshop. Thank you so much.